What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of the Agent to CEO podcast masterclass in becoming the CEO of your life and your business. Man, this is where we get to talk about the real work behind building that life and your business. So, man, I am beyond excited to be able to jump in with the gentleman that we have lined up for today. And I mean, we already had a great conversation before we hit go, but I mean, we're going to get into all things AI, really get into kind of where our conversations have been, over the last couple of years. Where's the AI empowered consumer at? Where do we fall into things? The importance of emotional intelligence, the importance of being that local champion for your marketplace. Really get into one of my favorite, topics in discussion on discipline. As I don't know if there's a more disciplined human on the planet than Mr. Rick Gray. Rick, what's happening, brother?
Hey, John. Thanks. Appreciate the welcome. Did my ice bath this morning. Had to do it.
What are we up to? What's our streak?
So 1,183 today.
Unpack that so everybody understands what we're talking about.
So I
cold plunge.
Cold plunge, ice bath, cold plunge. It's if you suffer from chronic low back pain. So I was a long distance runner all growing up, ran cross country and track in high school and college at Oregon. Always dealt in my adult life with back pain. Like it was always there. And never really went away. I tried a lot of different things, but then I got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I had a couple different stints back in the 90s, and I got back into it here a few years ago, back in 2020. And, rolling and wrestling around with people, my back was just killing me when I got home. When I was at the gym, it was fine. When I'm rolling, I feel great. Then I get home that night, my wife's like, "What's the matter with you? You can't even walk." And it was just like, so painful. And I tried yoga, which actually did help a little bit. Went to my doctor. All he did was prescribe diclofenac. It didn't do anything. And I hate taking meds for anything. So I took it like a week and threw it away. I've tried, tons of different things, tried cryotherapy. I finally said, okay, I'm driving home from the gym one day, and we live in Boise. The Eagle River is right by us. I'm going to jump in the river. This is December. It was like, there's 11 inches of snow. It was 19 degrees outside. Like, I'm going to walk down and get in the water. I just walked down. I got in the water. I sat there. I videoed the whole thing. It's actually on my social media channels, John, the original one. And it actually felt better. It's like, oh, wow, my back actually feels better. So like that day I went and bought a Rubbermaid stock tub, just a rubber tub you would feed livestock out of. And I filled it with water, and I was off and running. And then like 50 days, I 5 days in a row. After the 5th day, my back was completely healed. Like I didn't hurt at all. Like I could bend over and tie my shoes, which is incredible if you dealt with what I was dealing with for years. So I said, I'm going to buy an actual plunge. I did a bunch of research online. I bought the plunge made in California. Like since day 50, then on my journey, I've been in the plunge. Unless I'm traveling, then I figure out spas or hotels. And it's so funny, John, when you say unpack that a little bit. I did it because I wanted to cure my low back pain. It's turned into so much more than that, though, for me. It's just been a really cool journey. So many other things I've learned. It's difficult to do it every single day for 3 years and 3 months now. I mean, it's like every single day without missing a day. When I travel to Cleveland, John, and go do
I know, I found out after the fact. Like I would have been helping you find a location if I'd have known. I didn't even know about this streak.
Yeah.
And it's just wild, right? Like I told Danielle and Eric this. I was like, I had no idea, right? Like, and you just started talking, and then you mentioned Portland, and then you mentioned Nick. I was like, oh my goodness, right? and so your career and the run you've had and the run you're on is just remarkable. But looking at anything that consecutive, like what is kind of the secret to keeping streaks like that, intact, and how do you keep it going?
Yeah, I think you mentioned the word discipline earlier. I'm certainly discipline is a part of it, but I love atomic habits. So I teach people atomic habits all the time. So I was one of the first 10,000 members of James Clear's blog. He started a blog, like a free online email list. I think he started in 2012. And I don't know how I found stuff. I'm always finding personal development stuff online. I signed up for it. So I was getting James Clear's, habits every week. I think he got like 100,000 followers, and by 2014, he was up to like 1 million followers in 2016, then like 5 million followers in 2018. And that's when he wrote the book. October of 2018 is when he wrote Atomic Habits. So of course, you have 5 million followers, you write a book, you've got a built-in audience. I teach people all the time. This is exactly how to build a real estate business. Build a tribe first, right? But the part of that book that I love, which applies to ice baths, is once it becomes a habit, after a long enough time, it just becomes your identity. It's like the example. I love the example John he uses in the book, like smoking. And most of our watchers and listeners to this right now, I'm assuming, are non-smokers. There's probably some smokers, but there's a lot of people that don't smoke. I said, well, if I offered you a pack of cigarettes then and came up to you and said, hey, here's a pack of Marlboro Reds. You want this, John? You'd be like, no, no thanks. Well, is this tempting to you? He's like, well, no, it's not even tempting. It's like, well, why not? Because your identity is you're a non-smoker. If you took somebody whose identity was they're a smoker, this is what people don't talk about enough in real life, is it's hard to quit smoking, not just because of the nicotine addiction, not just because you don't know what to do with your hands. It's because it's your identity. It's how you see yourself. That's what you're trying to change, from being a smoker to a non-smoker. It's like, oh, wow. If you can actually do it long enough, then your identity will change. And that's when it's easy. It's actually not that hard. People look in real estate, John, they see some top producer like a Nick, right? Somebody like that. You're like, wow, it's easy for him. And I'm like, well, yeah, it is easy for him. It wasn't all the time. But he had to get to that point where he saw himself, his real identity in his own mind was, I'm a top producing agent. I get tons of leads. I'm great at closing. If that's your identity, it is easy for you. Just like it's easy for you to not smoke. Yeah. It's hard for a smoker to quit. It's hard for agents that don't sell much to imagine their identity being that way, but it's just about doing the right things over it. Like he talks about in the book, you're voting for the kind of person you're going to become. And after a long enough period of time, it's automatic. So it starts with discipline. Yes. It starts with, yes, I'm going to make myself do this, deciding I'm going to do this. Well, for me, I had a really strong why, because my back was killing me. Like I could barely walk and I was 50 years old. I'm like, this is not acceptable. Yeah. I've got to do something about this. I'm going to live a lot longer and I can't be in pain the rest of my life.
Yeah. It was crazy too, right? The pain of your back was greater than the pain of the cold. And so therefore, and I think that's I think that's common for a lot of people, right? They won't take that next step until the pain is so unbearable that they're willing to do something that is just as painful to be able to solve, the current pain they're in.
The velvet rut, right, John? The velvet rut. I've heard that concept is like, most people suffer from the velvet rut. They're comfortable. They're not where they really want to be, but it's not terrible. So they're just kind of in that middle, comfortable, what they call the velvet rut. And it's really hard. So I always equate this. I like analogies, but I always think of like a college football teams. So I'm a big college football fan, but like if you're a mediocre team, if your team is, 6-5 and they go to a bowl game maybe every couple of years, or maybe
it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They, they have a winning record, but they make it to the playoffs and then they're out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to change that. The teams that are horrible, like Indiana, classic example, like the best example we've ever had, they'll change everything. They'll change the athletic director. They'll change the coach. They'll change the stadium. We'll do whatever we can do because we are terrible and we're tired of being terrible. But the mediocre teams, it's like, well, at least we're not 0-10 or 0-11. At least we were 6-5. It's like that comfortable velvet rut is so hard to get out of because the pain is not great enough to really make the change you should be making.
Yeah, it's comfortable being average.
Yeah.
Right. It's comfortable being average. It's I listened to, speaking of, jujitsu, I listened to, Poirier was on Rogan last week. And so I listened to the conversation over, he's amazing. Yeah. And listening to that conversation over the weekend. And that's the hardest thing he's dealing with right now. Right. Like, I'm, spent however many years, 25 years of my life of an identity that I'm a, mixed martial artist, one of the baddest men on the planet.
Right.
And now what do I do? Right. Like, what is my identity? Who am I? What is that? So you're so spot on. So how do you go about reprogramming, that worth, who you are, that identity?
It's doing little things, it's the slight edge. Jeff Olson wrote that. Darren Hardy kind of recapped that with the compound effect. I mean, there's so many good books and ideas about this, but it's starting with every single decision we make every single day. And, I tell people like, if I read People magazine every day or Us Weekly or, all the gossip tabloids all the time. And John, you're out here reading really good books on self-improvement and emotional intelligence and personal development and thinking with the brain. After a week or so, we're not going to notice much of a difference between you and me if we kept that up. After 6 months, we might notice some difference in our conversational abilities, what we're interested in. But after 5 years, if we kept that up long enough, I kept reading gossip tabloids, TMZ, watching the local news and all that crap, and you were actually feeding your mind with things that are going to help you, there would be a noticeable difference if you give it enough time. The problem is, in the moment when I pick up the magazine to read it right now, it doesn't feel that bad. It doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal. And that's where people underestimate extrapolating this over 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it starts with you have to have a reason to start, but every single day, every little decision you make adds up. And then we're not perfect. I mean, I don't eat perfectly. I don't read perfectly all the time, but it's like they said in Atomic Habits, as long as you're voting for yourself, the person you want to be more often than not, you're on the right track. And the more you can do it, the quicker the track will be.
Yeah. It's so good. It's like, a lot of the NFL players getting in, right. And, they've all spent however long, especially getting into that level, dialing in the nutrition and what's going into their body, the supplements, intake, everything that they can take and everything that they've got to do, but they don't spend any time of what they're feeding right here. Right. Like I was reading something with Ryan Holiday, and he was talking about that. I think he went and spoke to a couple of the NFL teams, and that was his whole conversation was geared around like how well do you guys, how dialed in are your coaches on your nutrition, on your intake? How are you checking your vitals, getting your blood work? It's constant, right? Like, this is what you're paid to do. Right.
Right.
And then yet nobody's monitoring what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're consuming. And you expect to be this elite at this level when, you're feeding your mind. So it's all the same. I love that. It's funny that you said that about James Clear's email. I don't know if I got on before the book. However, as real estate agents, everybody subscribes to everything, right? Free trial, this newsletter, this, his and Vern Harnish. And there's
I get Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is
Tim Ferriss is
Friday. Yeah.
But I read James Clear's every week. I read it without failure. I get a bunch, but there's like 2 or 3 that I read religiously.
I'm the same way.
He's one of them. And it's just like the little new, I don't know if you're really learning anything new, but so many great reminders, so many, just that he gives you is like, all right, staying on the path. And to me, that's also part of that momentum, and part of is like, and I think it has to come back to that identity as well, right? Is that I'm a constant learner. So you can start to reprogram who you are in that label as well. Exactly.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's no set time. It's not like 50 days or 66 days or 250 days. All that stuff, it doesn't really correlate. Everybody's different, and it depends on your motivation up front. How painful is the position you're in right now? If you're in a lot of pain, you're probably going to make a more drastic change. Or if you're not, it's going to take more incremental change over time.
Yeah. So powerful. Keep it going, man. I it's one of the most remarkable things that I've ever seen. I've got a buddy who's about, I forget how many years now, but he's run a 5K every day. And it started out, and then he got to 1,000 in a row. And then it's just become part of his identity. It's part of who he is. Right. Listen, my day, I feel better. And part of my day is, I run a 5K every day. Yep. And it's pretty remarkable, any of those streaks and who you have to become in order for that to be true.
And that's the funny thing, John. People tell me all the time, it's like, well, I don't have to do it every day to get the benefits that I was looking for to cure my back, right? 2 days a week is probably fine. 2 or 3 days a week would be great. But now it's like, I told my wife after the 5th day, my back stopped. Like I said, I feel amazing right now, better than I felt in years. I've literally felt 10 years younger. I said, I'm going to do this. I just made a declaration. I'm going to do this every day for a year. I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay. And it was like, okay, here's a big investment of time every day for a year. And I did it. And then it was like, well, now I don't want to stop. It's like, at what point do I stop?
No. And listen, don't stop. Keep it going. Yeah. It's really remarkable. So Rick, let's shift gears a little bit and in on the AI conversation.
Yeah.
And, obviously what I believe is probably, if not the best, one of the best tools, especially for the real estate space and the real estate industry within Huzi. And what you guys are doing is just absolutely remarkable. I think Eric is one of the must pay attention to voices in
Absolutely.
this space, and the way he sees things and the way he thinks about it and the way he's building it. Then again, this whole tool was built out of trying to solve a problem for his daughter. So amazing, right? You know, how we end up doing things to solve problems,
right?
And remove pain. And I remember early on having these conversations with you guys, and I saw it right away with Huzi in, the agent to CEO, first time ever seen you guys, met you guys. And I saw it, right? It's one of those things you just like blink, right? In a second. And I saw it and I was like, holy shit, right? This is the first hire. This is going to replace thousands and thousands of salary dollars to be able to work and build this in the direction we're going. But we quickly, started not really concerned about the AI empowered real estate agent. Our questions in our conversation immediately went to, well, what about the consumer?
Yeah.
And kind of, the thought process around that, and then where that is today, because even when we were having this conversation and I was like, okay, well, our value pocket used to be like this, now it's like this. And where is the value pocket for the real estate agents? And as we're seeing more and more and more, like just this week alone, the things I've seen on market reports, seller what to do, how to maximize the dollars, and how everything's being broken down is just wild to see how fast things are accelerating. So Rick, I'll let you kind of unpack this and kind of where your head is and what the internal conversations that you guys are having as it relates to the AI empowered consumer.
Well, it's a constant evolution, John. Like, I've been an agent, I've been a broker since 1992. So next month, in 11 days, it'll be 32 years. So there's been a lot of iterations of real estate in that 32 years. So this is the next one. And this has just happened faster and more dramatically than any of the others before it. So it's interesting, but it's like, you think about a consumer's problem. We have a life event. Something happens in our life. We have a question. This is how it used to be. You have a life event happen. You start asking questions. You have some kind of a problem you're trying to solve. You do some research. You find an expert, and you literally go talk to an expert, or you talk to somebody who has expertise in that field. Now you have a life event, same thing. You have a problem that appears, same thing. You do some research, but right away you go to AI. That's what people do. They go to AI and ask AI right now. They don't go to a person first. They might go to a person. They will probably at some point go to an expert. I think we're going to see a real shift, what Eric calls the analog renaissance. People are going to get really tired of all this AI and technical stuff. They're going to want to talk to a human being. But the first thing they're doing right now is talking to AI. The questions they used to ask their realtors up front, they're now asking AI up front. So they're, in a sense, auditing you as a real estate agent. So our role is now shifting. I mean, it used to be we were the gatekeepers to seeing houses, and then we were the gatekeepers to information. None of that's true anymore. We are going to have to start creating more emotional experiences for people. And I always tell people, look, if you can write a CMA or do a CMA, write a marketing plan, write a listing description, and even write an offer through AI, which you can, so can your clients, right? So can they. So what is our role as an agent right now? Where is it going? It is definitely evolving. And my big thing is I like to teach agents that we really need to create emotional experiences for the client. We need to create joy. We need to create something that we're going to remember. I always ask people, what's the client going to remember about working with you in 10 years? They're not going to remember a lot of the specifics, but they are going to remember how you made them feel. And that's one thing humans are much better at than AI is empathy and emotional intelligence and learning how to make people feel really good through the process. So this is going to, as we talk later, we'll go into more of you're really going to be a community and a neighborhood concierge, embedding people in their local area, not just selling houses anymore. People can do that with AI. So they're going to want you for more than just selling a house.
Keep rolling with it, Rick, because I mean, I think this is super, super important for folks to get their head around. And it's kind of where I was going, like, what is our value proposition in the equation now? Where does it start? Where does it stop? Yeah.
It's going to have to change. Like our school systems are going to have to change. Our job description of a real estate agent is going to have to change. It's like, if you think about it, NAR likes to do studies. They talk about like, what do people complain about with real estate agents? Well, the biggest complaint for the first 25 years of my career were lack of communication.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get a hold of my agent. I listed my house and I haven't heard from him. My agent never gets back to me. That was always the number one complaint. And just recently it's been changed to, well, I know more than my agent. That's the new number one complaint people have. And it's true because they've already gone on Zillow or whatever website they've gone on to look at the house that just went up for sale down the street. So by the time they call you, they have seen the interior photos. They have looked at the sales history. They looked at the tax records. You're just getting the phone call from a client. So yeah, they do know more than you right away. So again, our role, that should be a real wake up call to the real estate industry, is our role has to change. And we're going to have to be more of the emotional leaders and create experiences. So I talk about, one of the things I talk about, John, is the history of, like, think about the different economies. So 3 basic economies that we've been through as a country, the United States, for a little over 200 years now. Well, we started off in the physical economy. Like, everybody, when this country started, was in agriculture. Like, literally everybody was in agriculture or mining. That's what every family did. You were a farmer, or you grew something, or you were a miner. Well, so in a physical economy, physical ability is prized. So people that are stronger, people that can work more hours, they make more money, they get more done, they produced more. Well, we're always looking for easier ways to do things as humans. So we invent machines, we invent, Henry Ford's famous for the assembly line. It's like, how do we get regular people, not skilled workers, but regular people, to be able to do a skilled job? Oh, we can create a system, an assembly line, for example. And that kicked off the Industrial Revolution, which moved us from a physical economy into what's called the thinking economy. Thinking economy is where education matters. People that have a higher IQ earn more money. Typically, they have higher paying jobs. And it's like, well, that's coming to an end, right? People don't really understand right now. The thinking economy is almost done. And by 2030 is our best predictions. We're going to be moving into the feeling economy, which is the next one. The feeling economy is where we actually have empathy and emotional intelligence and understand people. So that's where I say, well, our education system, I did an ice bath. So all my videos, John, I do a little talk when I'm doing my ice baths. The other day, I did an ice bath video on, we're teaching and preparing our kids in traditional school systems right now for a future that does not exist. The system has to change. I mean, our school systems are based on industrial revolution ideas. We're STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. A human being is not going to do science, technology, engineering, or math as good as AI is going to do it. So why are we teaching our children to do these things? We should be teaching our children the Myers-Briggs. We should be teaching our children the DISC profile, how to have emotional intelligence, how to understand what other people are going through, and then help guide them. If you're in sales and real estate, how to guide them through that process. That's a fundamental change in what our role is. Our role is no longer to calculate a net sheet for people. They can do that on ChatGPT and do that on Huzi, do that on wherever they want in seconds. Our role is to not only solve just the problem, but what problems are worth solving? What things should we even be thinking about, worrying about? Because the problem solving is going to be AI. Yeah. So we're going to be the leaders of, okay, here's what actually is worth thinking about and worth solving. As a real estate agent, I'm going to be coaching my client through this.
So obviously, you have your crystal ball there with you in Boise. What does it really look like in your mind, right? Like, 5, 10, we're saying 30, probably be here maybe 28, 29, the latest. So a lot sooner, just because of how accelerated everything is. Mm-hmm. Like, what does it really look like for a true professional that's going to thrive in this industry moving into the future?
Well, they're going to have AI. They're going to use systems like Huzi that can do a lot of automation. We need to make sure we are automated with a lot of things. We need to be as efficient and effective as possible. But we also need to elevate our relationships, and we need to make sure, personalization is going to be more and more important. It already is important, but it's going to be everything in the coming years because, AI is really good at broadcasting to the masses. So we want to make sure we are connecting with individuals. And so the most successful realtors are going to be really good at relationships, guiding people, making them feel special, creating memorable moments for them. That I always said this, as an agent, your role is to create an experience your clients want to repeat and refer. You're a guide. You are a trusted advisor. We've always heard that term. You're a trusted advisor that creates an experience people want to refer and to repeat. if you don't do that, if you're just getting the house sold or, doing the kind of the bare minimum stuff, that's going to go away because AI will be doing that bare minimum kind of stuff for people. And there will be a segment of the population that does use AI for their real estate. I don't think yet it's going to be huge, but it certainly is going to affect us in some way. So we better have a niche. That's one thing I'm making sure people really think about, using AI as a thought partner to come up with, what should I be doing? What is my niche? I think the days are numbered for just being everything to everybody. Right.
Yeah. I 1000%. Right. I think really narrowing down into in that one thing to where you can drop a massive amount of like, create those magical moments, right? To where, remember I was telling you about the gentleman that I shared the stage with.
Oh yeah.
And his, one thing, because that's what we were talking about, is, crafting the luxury experience. And so, that's the, the absolute key. And what he said is, be the person that they can't stop talking about.
Yeah.
So what are you designing? What are you creating to, really become the person that they just can't stop talking about, doing the things, right? It's the zig and zag. But I just reread Reset by Dan Heath, which if you haven't read it,
I have not read that one. No.
Man, well, I mean, I'm sure you've read a lot of the Heath brothers stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so Reset is really about the whole thing about Reset is, as humans, we just want to feel like we're making progress daily towards something meaningful, right? So it's identifying where the choke points are, and then how do you drop a massive amount of leverage, the hinge that swings the door to move those bottlenecks. And it has the best condensed 17 pages on the theory of constraints. It's the best breakdown of theory of constraints, other than reading, Goldratt's book, The Goal,
right,
which is tough for a lot of people to get through, but way that Heath breaks it down, it's 17 pages. And for us as coaches and leaders, that's just how my brain works, right? Being able to just look for the bottleneck and solve that. Good strategy is solving the right problem. Bad strategy is not even identifying it. And so being able to have that was key. And then looking at how we're going to create this. But there was one of the Heath books that has really been on my mind, and I haven't gone back to revisit it just yet. And I was just looking for it. But it's essentially about creating those magical moments in time, or whatever the name of the book is, but it helps you craft and be really intentional, because, when I was running NAEA Mastermind, a lot of the mastermind events were geared around experiences. So we wanted to go to the X Games. So we did a mastermind in Aspen 2 days before the X Games.
I love that.
And we wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby. So we did a mastermind in Cincinnati so we can go to the Kentucky Derby. And we wanted to go to St. Thomas, same over and over again. So it's just crafting those experiences. And then obviously, you and I kind of growing up in the Tony Robbins era of personal development, you obviously work in, Jim Rohn, company. And so you get how important, because Tony's events, especially his high end, are all about the experience. That's it. Yeah. Everything you do is experience first. And I love what you said, because we have to take that same $20,000 event experience into a real estate transaction. How do you do that in every moment? Is that kind of the filter that you're filtering things through?
Yeah. So I went into Canvas. So Canvas is one of Huzi's AI powered boards. And I just talked to it and I said, okay, I love using AI I always think of Jarvis, John. Remember Jarvis from Iron Man? Like I just talk to Huzi all day long. I have it on it's open on my desk right now. I'll just talk to it, ask it stuff. I literally use a thought partner. I was saying, okay, if the role of a real estate agent is going to be more to create emotional experiences, help me do that. Like I just said, every single step of the way, what are some things I could be doing that are out of the box, out of the ordinary, creating surprise, joy, something for my client? So Huzi literally just came up with this 6 things. Like, there's first contact, discovery. So first contact, when you first meet the person, discovery, learning about them, active search. What are they actually interested in? What are they looking for? What kind of problem are they trying to solve? the offer negotiation, closing and celebration, and post-close care. So it came up with 6 categories. I said, okay, so what's the driving feeling that I'm trying to create? It said, under first contact, you're trying to make them feel seen and welcomed.
Mm.
And then it goes through, it gives me like 10 different ways to do that. It's really cool. And then I said, okay, what about discovery? A discovery, the anchor, your emotion you're trying to anchor is they understand me. Under active search, this is exciting and not stressful. Under offer negotiation is I feel protected. And closing and celebration, this was unforgettable. And in the post-close follow-up, I feel valued even after the sale. So then it came up with that. So I said, okay, help me in an actual real estate situation, come up with 10 ideas for each one of these 6 things that you just said. I want to anchor these emotions with my client. How do I do that? And it comes up with them. I go, well, okay, I like 5 of these. I don't like that. Come up with 10 more. And I'll just sit there and talk to it and then start teaching my agents that I'm working with on, are you doing these things, and giving them ideas on what to do to cement that emotional feeling for their client. AI is such a help to me. That's how I like to use AI, is to have it help me think through things and then come up with ideas I didn't have on my own.
Yeah. That is so good. And it's so wild because I had my coach on maybe in 22 timeframe. And I asked him that question. I said, Matt, as humans, we want to improve and continue evolving and being better. This is in 22. I said, what's the most important skill sets and habits for us as humans to develop? And he goes, number 1, some type of mindfulness practice. And I can argue your cold plunge is a mindfulness practice, because when you get in there, you have to breathe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I mean, you know better than anybody the techniques and what you have to go through and where your mind is. So mindfulness, some type of mindfulness could be silence, prayer, active meditation, whatever that is. Number 2, he said, emotional intelligence. And he's contracted by the government. He works with the Air Force. He works with leadership at Air Force. And other than AI, the number 1, number 2 conversation, AI being number 1 or number 2, the other one is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
That's what they develop. That's what they work on. That's what they're always talking about. That's how do we improve? How do we become a better human and being able to connect with other humans?
Yeah. And that's going to be more and more valuable, Joe. Already, it's obviously that's incredibly valuable, but I think in the coming years, that's going to be more and more sought after from people. With most of the marketing is going to be done all by AI. I mean, did you watch the Super Bowl this year? I mean, half the ads were just AI. They weren't even real. And people were sort of disgruntled, didn't like it. I'm sorry to say, but that's coming in full force in the future. Music, movies, television ads. I mean, everything we see. So we're going to crave and really want somebody that understands us, and we're going to want that personal human touch. I think that's going to be really important.
So do you see, kind of going back to the, tribe mentality, to where, 150 people really connected deep, because you're kind of talking about it. How do you become that champion in your marketplace, that champion niche down in a local tighter, marketplace?
Well, that's the key. What you just said is having a niche, having some sort of a great coaching question for people is, what are you known for? If they're in real estate, if I'm coaching a real estate agent and I say, what are you known for? What do you think most agents say? I don't know. I'm not known for anything, right? They're known for being really nice. They're known for, I'm a stiff negotiator, or I'm a bulldog, or if you can really define clearly what you're known for, that's the beginning of the vehicle for all your marketing, your social media, and AI can help you with that as well. But that's the difference between generalization and personalization. And that's where we're heading. We need to do that. The generalists are, their days are short. The specialists are coming. I think just like anything, think of medicine. It's I think most of us, I would agree that my general practitioner, I don't really ask him a lot about anything. I want, if I break my arm, I'm going to go to a specialist. If I have, an internal problem, I'm going to go to a specialist in that thing. Medicine is no different. Every field is eventually moving away from just general and moving towards specialization. So real estate's the same way. The agents that do dabble a little bit in commercial, they do a little bit of residential, they sell lots and land and farms. They also sell condos downtown. That's not going to fly. You're not going to do that anymore. I mean, those days are almost gone already.
What else do we need to, to be thinking about, or to moving towards in a business model that is actually profitable in the specialist realm that we're moving into?
Well, I mean, starts with being a specialist. First of all, I think most agents aren't. And most agents aren't, they're not specialists, John, in the first place because they see it as limiting. I'm limiting myself to something. And agents are, of course, we're opportunists. So we're afraid to turn away potential business. So we want to be available for anything all the time. I think making that mental decision that I'm going to specialize in something, that doesn't mean you can't do anything else, but at least people can find you if you're a specialist in something. Like there's a local agent here in Boise that is a big horse property person, and she's known for that. I mean, her family is a rodeo family. Her daughter's barrel race. They're in the, they have an arena. They have horses. Their whole family is horses. So when you think about that, if I'm looking for a horse property, if I'm a buyer, I'm going to call Trina because she's a horse property person. She's an expert in that area. But that doesn't mean she doesn't sell houses in town too. Of course she does. But people are so afraid to, what you say, narrow their focus and simplify to one idea. That's a great strategy for your social media presence, but that doesn't mean that's all you do as an agent. It just gives you that vehicle. But then it's like, okay, how I need to think through, if I'm a specialist in horse property or whatever it is, what are the problems those people have? What are people that are looking for a horse property? What are they trying to solve? What are they trying to deal with? If you can become an expert at understanding what your avatar's problems are, and then use all your social media efforts to solve those problems, you'll become much better known, for one thing. People will be able to find you, and you'll have an expertise that you're known for then.
Yeah. So what are some of the systems, obviously utilizing social, picking the niche, being, reminding people more than telling them, kind of what you specialize in? Is there like, what are some other things? And probably it has to start in your mindset first, right? That you're okay. Is it more of a fear that if I say I'm just this thing, then I'm going to lose out on all the other opportunities? Is that kind of the mindset?
Yeah, I think that's what the mindset for agents is. Yeah. They want to be. So I used to have so Nick and I used to have a radio. I did 2 radio shows in Boise. I also had a radio show in Portland. Radio has kind of changed a lot in the last 15 years, what it was, but I did a lot of radio, and radio is one of those things that's very expensive, and you better have a very strong call to action. So it's like the strongest calls to action back then were, hey, I'll sell your home in 90 days or I'll buy it for cash. That gets the phone to ring. That's a very strong hook. If you're going to go on the radio and spend thousands of dollars for a 30-second ad, you better have something strong enough to get people to call you. And most agents would go on there and talk about how, they're ranked #1, their circle of excellence, their clients all love them, and all this stuff that nobody cares about. Nobody cared one thing about that. Nobody's ever going to call that ad. You just wasted $2,000 on an ad.
Right.
You have to have a really strong call to action. So in thinking of that same light in marketing for real estate agents, you better have a niche and expertise at something and get that out there to people. So then people will want to talk to you. People always ask me like, well, how do you get contact information from people? You're not going to get it if they don't see a value in talking to you. You have to be good at. Jim Rohn used to say this. Somebody said, well, how do I become a speaker? I want to be a speaker like Jim Rohn. I want to travel the country and do conversation, do talks and get paid to speak. He's like, well, here's the first thing. Have something people want to know. Have some sort of an expertise that you are so good at, people will pay you to hear what you have to say. If you're just going to be a motivational speaker about anything, it's not going to go very well. And that's how most realtors are. They're just generalists.
How do you get to that call to action in today's market? Like what is the, like you said, the motivated to desperate seller offer was the one, that really made that investment worth it, right? To where you can get the return as long as you were speaking to, I'd always say, 1 foot in the motivated, 1 foot in the desperate buckets.
Right.
Is the message that we've got to kind of get out there. So what is that call to action now?
Well, it's different for everybody. That's what I use AI for, John. That's literally what I would open up Huzi for and talk to it. Hey, I'm in Boise, Idaho, or whatever market you're in. Here's what I did last year. Here's what I'd like to do here, and if you talk to it enough, it gets to know your interests, your lifestyle. I like to fly fish and ride my dirt bike or whatever. It starts to know kind of who you are, and just keep asking it. What kinds of things should I be thinking about? What kinds of things should I be learning? What kind of things do you think I should focus on in my marketing that's going to help build my brand? Like that's where AI is so much smarter than we are. It takes a capsule of who we are based on what we've talked to it about, and then it can search everything and say, okay, this is going to really work for someone like you, Rick. You should be doing these things. So I use AI as a thought partner and talk to it on a regular basis.
How do we start to balance out, like you were saying, the use of AI, leveraging AI to help you think through as your thought partner? How do you balance what we're delivering back to the consumer and not, keeping it personalized
Right.
without losing that human connection?
Well, it's like when I used to learn how to speak. If anybody's ever done a public, presentation, don't write your whole speech out. So, write some bullet points so you remember the concept, and then the words are going to be your own. So I always shied away from teaching people like specific scripts, although some of the brokerages I used to run were very big on that. And I did actually see the value in it if you were at a very beginner level to understand what we're doing. But I like to teach concepts. If you understand the concept, then the words are going to be your words the way you would deliver them. So that's how I would say AI. Don't just copy and paste. People do that all the time. They copy and paste what AI says and put it literally in an email. I mean, you've probably seen it too. I've seen emails from people where it had the AI notation on it. Like, it was obviously this was just copied from AI. So I would say, look, don't copy and paste. Talk to AI and get ideas, and then understand what it's trying to get across, what the concept is, and then make sure the words are your words that you're actually conveying at the final draft. I mean, you might copy and paste it and then change 20% of it to your words, but I'm more of I like to think things through and understand, okay, that was a really good idea. If I can really digest and absorb that idea, then I can say it and regurgitate it in my way, in my words. But I think that's a uphill battle, John. I think most people are going to copy and paste. I honestly have, the pessimist in me says people are going to use AI wrong because it's an easy button for a lot of things. And because it's an easy button, people are going to demand the easy button. And that's what I worry about in 20, 30, 40, 50 years is what are humans doing if we're offloading all of our cognitive abilities to AI? What's left for humans to do? I don't know. And that's a little bit what's scary about this.
Yeah. And is that more of leaning into that's where the leadership and the connection, and it's probably just being a good human is the winning recipe.
It's going to be a gap creator, even a bigger gap than we have now. You're going to have consumers of content and you're going to have creators of content. Most people are going to be consumers. They're literally just going to be scrolling, consuming, watching stuff, staying entertained, staying engaged in something and stimulated, but not producing anything. And then you're going to have a smaller and smaller and smaller group of people creating content and influencing all those people that are just consuming. And that's the challenge with AI, is going to be, how do we, prevent that gap? I don't know if we're ever going to prevent that gap. We already have the gap. I mean, if you think about like the gap was originally created in the thinking economy, because we went from the physical economy to the physical economy. We didn't have huge gaps of wages back before like the 1920s. People earned about what they earned. If you had a small hobby farm, pretty much everybody that had a small hobby farm earned about the same amount of money every year. Everybody made a living. It was the industrialization, the industrial age, and the thinking economy that came around that separate. All of a sudden, we had classes dramatically separating. Now, some owner of a factory that was making back then millions of dollars a year, which was crazy money when the average people were making dollars a year. And I don't think that's gone away. I think it's, with AI, it's only going to get worse. So people, again, what you talked about earlier, we're looking for the right people. We're looking for people that want to be on the creating side and growing and learning. And not everybody is. A lot of people are just going to want to copy and paste and consume information and be done with it.
Yeah, they're good at coasting, right? They're good coasters. And so for those that aren't coasting, what do you see right now, right? Obviously, I think that the allocation is going to change into the future as things to unfold for us. Right now, moving into Q2 into the rest of this year, what is in your mind a properly integrated AI powered real estate agent and business actually look like right now?
Yeah, they're learning. For one thing, they're learning. But there's one of those myths is I don't have time to learn all this new stuff. Everybody has said that. No matter what new technology comes around, people don't want to learn it. Like, you have to learn it. You owe it to your clients to learn it and to be the best you can be. You owe it to yourself as well. So you're using a platform like Huzi. You're using it as a thought partner. You're helping it have information on you so it can create your brand, and then you're staying in your lane and making sure you're specializing in your brand and solving problems for people that have a similar interest, a similar out, you know, outlook on life or viewpoint on life. And whoever your avatar is that you're trying to serve, you're using AI to create communications to those people, to find those people in the first place, to create social media content that's interesting to those people, figure out what their problems are. So you're learning how to use AI, and you're using it regularly right now.
Yeah. For those listening that are like, okay, Rick, I know you're right. I've been hearing this and hearing this, but I just feel behind.
Yeah.
Where do they go to start?
Well, I mean, just start using it. Start using AI for number one. Just start using it to, a lot of people, it's amazing, John, are afraid of AI, to talk to it. Like, you're not sure, like, just treat it like a human being. Just treat it like it's an assistant in your office that knows a lot. So what would you ask an assistant? What would you have an assistant do? Just start talking to it that way. I love our canvas. If you go to Huzi.ai, we have separate, I don't know if you knew this, John, we just launched this last week. We have the canvas is a separate product now. We have our SparkPad, a separate product. We have our Halo separate. So it's $39 a month for Canvas. You can just get the Canvas, which is an AI-powered platform where you bring the source, the book, the website, the video, the file, whatever, the context block where you can write whatever you want. And then you have AI power to use it, create things for you, create images, videos. I mean, Canvas is just like the Iron Man version of Jarvis. And that's why I love using it every day.
It's the coolest. It is the coolest AI tool I've ever seen. And it is so cool. And you guys have so many things coming and in the works, and things that solve right away.
Right.
I do believe it is the tool moving into the future. So having that, so starting consuming, if you were going to give me my first 3 moves, right? That I can, Rick, that I can implement over the next 30 days. Number 1, obviously get in, use it, not be afraid to use it. What would be maybe move number 2, move number 3?
Well, I would go into Canvas. I would go into SparkPad and start, because SparkPad is like sort of like Chat GPT, but it's way more personalized and specialized, and it creates mini GPTs inside of it for you. So start talking to it, telling it about yourself, your business, what you've done in the past, what you're trying to accomplish in the future. Talk to SparkPad, and it'll create experts for you in marketing. It'll create experts in administration, in sales, like right there, real time in the SparkPad. It'll start creating these expert AIs for you to help you build your schedule. Like, what should I be doing this week? Well, are you a networker or are you a prospector? What style do you like to build your business? And you start talking to it. The more you talk to it, the better it'll get at creating your actual calendar for you. But before any of that, I think it's big just to make a decision. So like for me, John, I remember in the recession, 2007 and 2008 were really difficult years and just terrible years for me. And Nick, that's where Nick and I became friends, actually. And because I'm seeing Nick, and he started this company, he's working with buyers. And I was like, he started going before I saw this. He saw the short sale boom. And it took me 2 years to figure this out. And it was like, oh, wow, why didn't I, the market was telling me that foreclosures and distressed properties is what's selling. Your traditional houses with traditional families, that wasn't selling anymore. And that's where I kind of lived. So I had to like shift my whole focus and make a decision to do something different. And I literally cried myself to sleep every night for 2 years. And it was not a fun time. But when I saw AI, when ChatGPT came out in November of 2022, I remember sitting in my office, and my videographer, who is now with Huzi, Nate, who Nate is, Nate Swift, he said, hey, let's pull up ChatGPT. And because I was asking him questions about it, I'd never played with it though. And I saw Jordan Peterson, video online about it. I'm like, this is interesting. What is that? He goes, well, pull it up. So we pulled it up. He showed me how to log in. We started playing with it. It really hit me strong right there, John, that number 1, I need to learn this because I don't want to miss out like I did in 2007 and 8 and go 2 years of ignoring this or not seeing it. And then realizing I wake up and go, I don't have a business anymore. What happened? Yeah. Like number 1, it hit me really hard. I need to learn this. And number 2, I need to teach my coaching clients this. I don't want them to miss out on what's going on. I don't want to feel like I did in 2008 again with the recession and moving to distressed properties. I saw AI as that. So the first thing I always tell people is you've got to make a decision, learn this, figure out how to use it to help you with your business, and don't get left behind. And, you're going to have to learn it one way or another anyway. It's kind of like the internet, right? People say, well, I don't think the internet's going to be a thing. It's like, okay, yeah, you're going to learn it. You might as well do it now and profit from it.
That's right. It's for sure. Yeah. Rick, I mean, thank you for jumping in here, and for those of you listening in, man, thank you guys for listening to
Thank you.
today's episode of the Agent to CEO podcast. Reach out to Rick. Rick, where can they find you and follow you? Primarily Meta. That's where I see your videos on Facebook. I'm sure Instagram, Facebook, all over the place.
The Real Rick Gray on what is that? Instagram, The Real Rick Gray. The Real Rick Gray on TikTok as well, but Facebook is just Rick Gray. Huzi, Rick at Huzi.ai is my email.
Gotcha.
They can go to rickgray.com, GRAY, Rick at rickgray.com.
Yeah, guys, you want that motivation. You want to see the streak continue. You want to, the insights. Rick's just remarkable and just a tremendous resource to be able to tap into. So, brother, thank you so much for jumping in here.
Yeah, very much.
Absolutely. And I know we'll definitely do it again. And listen, guys, I think Rick is spot on. And the question is real simple, right? What are you going to do with this information? And if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you guys are ready, really to step into that, full CEO seat, go over to sevenfigurecall.com, grab a spot on my calendar, and let's talk through it. But until next time, Rick, appreciate you, brother. Y'all,
thank you, John.
Keep making it happen, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, brother. See you guys. All right. See you.